Welcome everyone to Code 4 Podcast. Thank you for everybody that's been tuning in and subscribing lately. We picked up a few new subscribers and followers over the past couple of weeks, and I think our trip had a lot to do with that. We are going to talk about the trip today and our little travel adventures that we did. But I did kind of want to talk through some analytics. I did look at our analytics today, and I even had a discussion with Courtney. Because she was actually listening to the last podcast that we did with Kyle on Spotify. If no one has ever watched our YouTube or seen our Instagram and they just kind of tuned in, it may sound like you have Tourette's because you're yelling. Yeah. So for any subscribers or listeners that don't watch the video portion of the podcast, that's Sal correcting his dog.
Tends to be a little bit crazy with that dog. It's hard. It's hard because the minute he's like anything, like the minute that you go to record something or take a picture of something, like your kids do something crazy. Yeah. And then of course, like he's perfect all the way up until it's time to shoot or it's time to go search drugs. And then he just loses his mind. And I end up losing my mind a bit.
Tucker's the same way. So I'm keen on using speakerphone all the time. I don't like holding the phone and talking on the phone with it in my ear. So every time somebody calls and I put it on speaker, he has to act like a fool. Like he hasn't had attention. So he's trying to find the other voice in the room to see who he can get attention from.
See, we fucking said it. Sorry for anybody that's listening on the Spotify. The dog just came up to me right now. So he's turning into be more of a emotional support dog than a drug dog and a bite dog. So I think I'm his emotional support.
I'm Tucker's human, 100%.
Oh yeah.
He always has to come up and put a paw on me. Like he puts his paw on my shoulder.
Animals they're fantastic. They're fantastic beings. They are empathetic. They're great listeners. They never pipe up. I mean, unless you have like a husky.
They don't interject.
No, but man, it's crazy though. Like the dogs will know when you're going through something and they'll just kind of like nudge you or something like that, or they just won't leave your side. Definitely, they have like a sixth sense. I like to have them around. I get paid to have them around, so I'll keep them around.
Fair. So you wanna recap our Moab trip?
Yeah. So for those who weren't tuning in or were a little bit late to our postings, Ryan and I, we decided to take a little mental health trip up to Moab, Utah, one of my favorite spots in all of North America. It's one of my favorite spots. And honestly, that's where I feel like I find myself and lose myself in Utah. And I offered it to you and you were like, I don't know about Utah, man. Like, what the hell's in Utah? Just a bunch of Mormons or something? And I'm like, no, dude, it's much more than that. Like,
there's a lot up there.
Yeah, there's a lot of hidden gems up there. I mean, the scenery, there's some really cool people up there too. But I think the off-road community up there, the hiking community, I think it's something that has to be experienced. It really can't be described. And I wanted you to have that, and I wanted you to go with me. I recently lost my mom, and it was kind of more of like a tribute trip. It's what I wanted to call, like, what do they call it? Like a pilgrimage to Utah. And like finally, dude, we were able to find the ultimate spot that I had been looking for years. Like I just could not figure out where that was, but we ended up locating that. But yeah, it's just something I wanted to do. I wanted to get out there. It had been years since I had built my Jeep for trekking through that stuff and hitting obstacles and stuff. And I was like, you know what? Like I need to remember who I am. I need to remember what it is that I love to do. Like I said, I'm a cop, but I'm a human being that likes to do like regular stuff on the side. And I wasn't doing enough things on the side anymore. Yeah. And so I just need to remind myself like, hey, time to drink some of the waters again and remember all the good stuff that I do. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take out my Jeep. I'm going to go on a road trip. I'm going to take out my Jeep. I'm going to do some rock crawling. I'm going to do some hiking, and I'm going to get some perspective while I'm out there and do some real deep thinking and some therapy, some physical therapy and some, emotional therapy, maybe some psychological therapy too. But yeah, so we went up there for just shy of 5 days, which honestly, the last time I did it was 3 days. This time we did it was 5 days. I thought 5 days was going to be enough to do it, but honestly, I think it needs to be pushed out to like 7 or 8.
We originally planned for only 3.
That was more my idea was like, man, last time I came out here with my cousins, and they had kids with them, and it was fun and all for the family, like the family vibe, but just not enough was getting done because, of course, when you take a bigger crowd, you just really can't live in the moment and say like, "Hey, let's just do this," or just be spontaneous.
Yeah.
And it was sometimes you go out there and you have an idea of what you want to do, and then you come across somebody on a trail and they're like, by the way, make sure you check this out. And you're just like, shoot, like how far is that away? Like, oh, it's an hour and a half. It's like, wow, did we pack enough stuff? Like, oh, we have enough stuff for us, but like, do we have enough stuff to entertain kids? It's like things like that you really can't take advantage of. But when you're by yourself or with like just one homie, so much easier just to pivot, get out there, and then maybe see that one thing that you didn't think that you were going to get to see, or experience something completely different that was off the schedule, off the script, and just living off the cuff, really just, knocking it out of the park that way. So I think I think the 5 days was cool. Next time I'm going to push for 7.
Yeah,
And then
I,
maybe
I would be down for 7. Like well, let's recap the trip first. So I flew into Vegas, right? First and foremost, if anybody flies into Vegas, the flights into Vegas are the cheapest ever. I think my flight into Vegas was $99. My flight out of Vegas was like $350. It's ridiculous.
They're trying to keep you into Sin City for sure.
So they try to keep you in. They penalize you for leaving.
Yeah, that's a form of strategy right there for the economy, just so you guys can see that firsthand for sure.
But I'd never been to Vegas. And my flight was fine. It was only like 4 hours. So I took a little nap on the plane. So I flew out early. Like I had to leave my place at like 3 a.m. to get down to Nashville because my flight left at like 5 something. So actually I think I left at 2 and I got there at 3. But so the flight was fine. I get into Vegas. You ever seen that website, People of Walmart?
Yeah.
So it's people watching at an extreme. Like if all the people from People of Walmart culminated in one city, that would be Vegas.
It's definitely a crazy culture that goes there, because you got to think everybody there is like an extrovert. Like they're wanting to come in for either gambling. They're either a gambling degenerate, they're into shows, they're extremists on some level of whatever it is, like there's gambling, there's shows. Some people like the buffets. Some people just like to go out there and people watch. They just like to be drunk.
So there's like vomiting.
Yeah, some of the spas or golfing out there is like really crazy too, because there's so many golf courses around Las Vegas, and I've done Vegas so many times that I don't have any like, if it wasn't for like some kind of a canine show, or just like SHOT Show or something like that, I'm really not going to be there. I'm not going to be caught dead there. And the shopping's great, but I mean, like, is it really that good? I mean, like, prices are pretty set wherever you're going to be at. Like you're just more apt to want to buy things while you're there, because you're there and you're like, oh, well, there's shopping here, so let's just get some Gucci stuff. So
yeah.
But yeah, definitely a weird crowd. So I try to get it.
So you picked me up in Vegas, and then we had I kept thinking it was like 5 hours from Vegas to Moab. It ended up being like 7. It was a 7-hour.
Yeah, it was like, man, I think it was like 8 hours, bro. Like, let's be real. Like, the whole GPS thing really took us for a turn that whole weekend. Like, what we thought was close was far. What we thought was far was close.
Yeah.
And then I think bouncing between Gmail, or not Gmail, but like Google Maps and iPhone maps, pick one and stick with that. That like, do not cross over, because it's just going to give you 2 different things.
So our first day was kind of a wash. It was just a travel day, but we still didn't like. That was the first time Sal and I had seen each other in 15 years. So getting to do the 8-hour road trip in the Jeep was great. We got to catch up.
For sure, that was interesting, because I mean, like, you didn't know what to expect, and like I was trying to be like a good host and be like, oh, dude, look to the left, and this is this mountain, and look to the right.
You brought me a water. I brought you a water.
I brought you a water, and I brought you some like some pokey bait and like some snacks and stuff. And I'm like, okay. And I'm trying to keep you entertained, but just trying to be a good host. And it's like, shit, you only have so many things to look at before you start like. And I remember at one point, like, we were not moving from the map, like just like this short distance. I was like, bro, it's already been an hour and we're still in the same area. Like, wow, man, I think the only time that's been worse than that is like driving through Texas. But yeah, we did it. There was a lot of stops, frequent stops actually, because the Jeep is,
gas guzzler.
It's aerodynamically challenged
It's like
So we
driving a
were,
shoebox.
yeah, yeah, it was a brick in the wind for sure. And we were just going uphill the whole time. So I think the majority of my expenditures was all on fuel, to be honest
Yeah.
with you. And I mean, we packed it. The Jeep was actually pretty heavy when we packed it out because like I brought all sorts of stuff, all sorts of contingencies and redundancies. So
But
yeah,
to be fair, I think we used just about everything that you packed.
yeah. I would go back and unpack a few things that we didn't use, but for the most part, we did use
Yeah.
a lot of things that I did pack.
I think you did a great job gearing up the Jeep and prepping it for what we were going to put it through.
Yeah, we definitely did. So we got there, and I mean, remember thinking that we were going to get in the first day and just we were going to have enough time because the way we had planned it was I was going to pick you up at 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, and then we were going to boogie down there. It was going to be like 4 hours later, 5 hours later,
Yeah.
and we're still going to be looking at like noon. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, we'll be able to get it like at least we'll check into the hotel real fast, and then we'll just boogie on down to a rock course or something like that to hit a trail or see a monument. And that was not the case at all.
Bro,
We
we got
got
in at
there.
dark.
We got there and it was dark. And we stayed at, there was plenty of places to stay at while we were there. And you found a repurposed Motel 8.
Yeah.
Which I
So
had no
yeah,
idea it was a repurposed Motel 8.
I didn't either. So I will caveat on this hotel. This hotel was called the Slackline. So
Yeah.
it was formerly a Motel 8, but it had been revamped and turned into like this adventure style hotel. Like our room was humongous.
Yeah.
Now we had reserved it we had 3 queen beds and we actually had 4 queen beds in there because one set was bunks. But we thought that we were going to have a third person with us.
It was all of at least 1,200 square feet inside there, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. It was huge.
For sure. It was the size of my garage. And I remember just being like, Jesus, like, dude, we can do backflips in here.
But it had concrete floors and it had all those pegboards for you to hang gear and stuff.
Oh, hold on, back it up because people are going to wonder what the hell a pegboard is. It just sounds wrong.
So a pegboard is one of those like you see them in garages and mainly to hang tools and stuff on. But you see them in like CrossFit gyms too. People climb the pegboards.
Yeah, so they'll climb up using the pegboard. So yeah, there was these pegboards all over the walls, and I thought for sure that you can remove the pegs and actually practice like some fitness, but they were actually. They were affixed in there, so there's mostly just for hanging. But they had bike racks inside there, and it wasn't like bike racks that you see on the side of the road, but they were like tuning up your bicycle, like your mountain bike, your off-road extremist bicycle. Like it was like a tune-up shop inside there. It was really kind of cool. And then they had like queen-size bunk beds.
Yeah.
And what else?
I'm kind of sad that we never slept on this.
There could have been a lot of time that we could have used for like video footage. And I think you got one video, a clip of me just being ridiculous.
Yeah, when you used my scarf.
Yeah, I used your what is it called, a Sherpa
or something like
Sherpa,
that.
yeah. And like I used it and then it made like one of those like masks, like I was from the Middle East. But I remember just a spacious area. It was super comfortable. And the beds were fantastic. I can't speak enough of the amount of sleep that I got there was just super good. And I don't know if that was just because we were exerting ourselves in the climbs and in like the hikes and like the jeeping and all, like just having that adrenaline dump from almost dying a few times. And then
we'll get into that.
And then coming back to the hotel and the hot tub. Oh man. And it started snowing on us. And we took advantage of like the hot tub while it was snowing. And I think that was pretty damn cool too.
Yeah.
It was just a lot of healing. I mean, like it was like lay in bed and you're healing on recovery. It was like going to the hot tub and you're healing on physical and just spiritual, man. It was something. Dude, I'm telling you, there's a vibe when you touch down into the Red Rocks that you just feel like a part of you is supposed to be there. And like, you're just like completing the puzzle. Like that puzzle piece just fits. And you're like, that's where it's supposed to be. Yeah. And that's how I feel when I go to Utah.
So I will say that I'm glad we went when we did too. Cause I think I'm definitely an off-season traveler. Mm-hmm. We had pretty much the whole town to ourselves.
Yeah.
I think we were one of maybe 2 hotel guests that were there in the entire hotel. They had like a little bakery and coffee shop, but they also had the guy, Michael, who was there pretty much. Like he would talk your ear off, but the nicest guy ever, and he would help you out on trails and where to go, and like he would give us recommendations on food. This dude was very
He would tell you,
knowledgeable about the
and,
area.
yeah, and he would share his stories and be like, "Oh man, remember getting drunk going off of that obstacle." Just like, where am I right now? Because I feel like I'm in a movie, like the coolest host ever and like the coolest hotel ever. And then you're right, the town was absolutely empty, and that was satisfying too. And I got to tell you, because if you go on like during the season, like peak season, oh man, you're waiting for like you're in a line waiting to hit an obstacle while you're jeeping, or you're in a line waiting to take a picture next to one of these great monuments, or like one of these like, features, these landscape features. And then it's crowded. So then you're just hearing people, and like you're out there trying to like take a picture right next to this like statue or something like that. And then like you have 35, 45 people behind the camera, and they're like, hurry the fuck up, asshole. Like, you look fine. Just take the picture. I'm like, let's move. Kind of kind of ruins the ambiance that is, the desert and the red rocks and stuff like that. So cool that we went there. Only I am an off-season trekker. I don't like to say that I hate people, but man, they bug me a lot.
Oh,
So,
same. Yeah, I'm not a people person.
which is crazy because we're public servants, It's funny because as soon as the badge, like as soon as I slap on the uniform and the badge goes on, I am a different person, and I'm like, oh, whatever you need, I got you. Well, you got me for 10 hours in this mentality. 1 minute, 1 minute after, ooh,
Don't talk to me.
talk to me anymore. No, no, I'm just joking about that. But yeah, it was nice being out there by ourselves. What was your take? What was your take on being out in Moab, just being in the Red Rocks, being so secluded?
I loved it. I didn't think I would love it as much as I did. Because I've been to places like Montana and Wyoming. Like I lived in Hawaii for 3 years, and like upstate New York is beautiful. So I've been to some very beautiful areas of the United States. I did not think that I would feel as connected out there as I did. And I'll tell you, even being out there in the snow, I'm a fan of cold weather. I know a lot of people are not. And so I think peak season may be their season to go when it's warmer, but it was cold out there and it was snowing, but I don't remember feeling cold. Hell, I even wore sandals.
Yeah, dude. So anybody that's watching, Ryan has, or people that are just listening, Ryan has a set of sandals that are dated from like 1992
They're
to
my
91.
Jerusalem slippers.
They're like the modern day Jerusalem slippers. And I turned my cheek to work on the Jeep for one of the trails, and we're getting off, and like it's snowing and it's coming down. And I'm like, all right, well, I got to get us to safety because I got to get us out of here. Like, we don't have enough like resources to stay out here the night. And I look over, and as I'm working on the Jeep, Ryan's all, well, I feel better. And I'm like, I look down and he's got these flip flops on. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to, I can't take this man anywhere. And
For the record, yours will arrive tomorrow.
Oh man.
I bought you a set, and they are going to change your life, my friend.
To top it off, he was wearing socks and sandals at the same time because they're not the thong style that goes between the big toe and the subsequent toe. No, it was, what's that? They're oh my God. And he was wearing sandals and socks, and I was like, I can't say much because I do some outlandish stuff. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Moab opened up my inner hippie.
There was a lot of hippies there, huh, buddy?
There was.
Yeah, there's a group of like climbers, man, and that's another thing too. Is like the little shops that you find out there. They're little hidden gems, man, and they have everything that you can think of. I mean, if you're an outdoor extremist, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this place had a parachute in there that you could purchase. Because they had it all, and they were. I mean, like, hey, the price is there. If you want it, come get it. And I was following suit with you because you just went in there. You're like, I need to buy this and I need to buy that, and I was like, man. And then I tried on gear with you. That was unnecessary. I shouldn't have done that, but I felt better. I felt better spending the money. I'll tell you what.
You did treat yourself. I'm kind of jealous of that pull or that shirt you got or that hoodie that you got.
Yeah, you should have snagged it, buddy. It probably would have fit you pretty well too.
So let's talk day one. Well, not day one was travel. Day two is actually when we get out there. And so we didn't really have a plan for any of this.
We thought we did.
We highlighted some stuff on a map a couple days before and kind of knew of some areas that we wanted to get into. But once we got there, and then we talked to Michael, I think that kind of changed our plan. We kind of got very hasty with it, especially on day two. And so
Yeah.
we saw this place called Elephant Hill that we wanted to go try. And so Sal had been on some level 4 trails before, and this one was level 5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It was what was that? It was like Countryland? Was it Countryland?
Canyonland.
Canyonland. It was in Canyonland National Park, and it was Elephant Hill or Elephant Head Trail.
So, but we didn't really anticipate, like, it took us an hour and a half just to drive there. I think we knew that from the GPS that it was going to take us. So I think we thought it was going to be more back roads and scenic, but it was pretty much just an hour and a half drive out to Canyonland. And then we had to find Elephant Hill. Now that was pretty cool. Like, that's when we had to lower the air pressure on the tires, and we were out there removing sway bars and stuff out before we hopped on the trail. So Sal was 100% prepared for all of that stuff. I, however, was not. He started taking me on this trail, and I'm like, what are we doing?
The scariest part is that from the information that we got from the state park ranger was like,
Hmm.
Elephant Trail starts here. And she's like, there's one way in and one way out. And so then you got to be cognizant of thinking like, okay, like if there's somebody coming down, we
Yes.
have an issue. So it's like you have to time it really well. And sometimes you have to send somebody up over that first hill just to kind of be a lookout and say like, hey, we have a team of jeepers coming down right now. Like, so like just stand fast. And then people are usually pretty cool. They'll be like, hey, there's 4 more, or hey, I'm the last one. And you're like, all right,
Yeah.
cool. And then so they communicate like that. But usually they call the first obstacle, they call it the gatekeeper. And that's to keep, it's just what it is. It's a gatekeeping obstacle to keep you out if you're not ready for it. So like pretty much this is like, if you can't get over this or muster the nerve to get up onto this, then you might not want to come in here at all,
Yeah.
So just sending you up the gatekeeper for the first obstacle, you were like, what are we doing? Because I'm sure you're
You
used to
can't
off-roading.
see over. I've been off roading before, but my off roading, like, I'm from the
Mudding.
south. It's mudding. There's trails, but there's not hills, cliffs, and ravines that you can fall to your death on. It wasn't until we got, and even Elephant Hill, I didn't think was that bad. Now the next day, I'll get into that. That was terrifying. But Elephant Hill itself, I think we rode it for a good hour before we finally got to a turnaround point where, all right, well, let's do some recording. We're going to climb up this little mountain a little bit, get a good view.
Yeah.
So we did some recording up there, kind of took in the views, and it was awesome. But we could see in the distance snow was coming. Like,
Yeah.
at first we thought it was just clouds moving in. It was snow, because it was kind of snow flurrying while we were up there. But we could see something was coming. And I remember I took a picture of your Jeep as we got out of it to go climb this hill, and it was right at noon. And then the very next video that I took was when the snow was coming down and we could barely see in front of us. And that was 38 minutes later. So over the course of 38 minutes, the entire landscape changed. We had inches of snow that had fallen.
But yeah, so backtrack a little bit. When we got to that okay, so we got past the gatekeeper and all the main obstacles getting into the Elephant Head Trail. So there was some tricky spots getting into it, just getting into that valley. So you had to traverse down or go up these hills and then go down these crazy obstacles. And then you didn't have a turnaround point. You had to basically nose in and then back your way down this mountain in reverse, going over other obstacles. And then finally, when you get down there, it's another reverse into a corner so that you can straighten out and then go down another avenue. So it was really kind of technical, really kind of scary, especially since I'd never done it before. And then when we dropped down into this valley where we were filming, the moon dust that was the ground, it felt like you were the first person ever to touch ground out here. Like there was
so soft.
So soft. I remember thinking like, oh my God, this feels so great on my knees. Like I just feel like I could run on this for forever. I felt like 20 years had been removed off my life, and I was just.
That's what made me want to put on my sandals, to be honest.
And there were some really cool caves, and you could tell people had hunkered down there. Yeah. And there was like some soot left on some rocks from where they like left fire. They did their campfires and stuff like that. But I remember just getting up there and then thinking, crap, yeah, you're right. There's like a storm coming in. Like let's hightail it out of here. Because at that point, right, we had wasted so much fuel getting to the trail that I remember saying like, hey, Ryan, I think we should top off. And you're like, no, man, it's going to be fucking fine, man. Be good. And I was like,
Don't listen to me.
and I didn't have my gas can full of fuel yet because I mean, of course, this is day one, and I'm just thinking like, oh, we'll just top off, and like if I know we're going to be out here for multiple trails, I'll, you know, actually the Jeep doesn't waste any fuel going over obstacles or just being in a trail for whatever reason. It just does not waste any fuel. It's getting to an
Yeah.
obstacle on a highway. That's where you're going to burn most of your fuels. I was just like, oh no, we'll be fine. Like, yeah, you know what, Ryan's right, you know. And then we get down there, and I'm like, Ryan, there's not enough fuel to house us with like the engine running to keep us warm if we get stuck down here. And I remember thinking, there is snow packing over all the obstacles. And if I can't see the trail, we're not hitting it. And then I'm thinking to myself, the forecast said that the next 3 days was going to be snow and it was coming down. And I was just like, oh man, we got to get out of here. We got to get out of here right now. And I'm thinking to myself, like, if it was just me, yeah, dude, don't worry about it. Like, I'll figure this out. But then I have your life in my hands, and I'm like, oh, dude, Ryan's kids are gonna kill me if I kill him out here. If two military veterans die inside of a Jeep in a national park, I'm never gonna hear. Yeah, I'm never gonna hear.
We would have been just fine. There was one sleeping bag in there. We could have
Oh,
spooned. It would have been just perfect.
yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, we had guns, so like we could have protected ourselves from like with the wildlife and stuff like that, and like, so yeah, like that's not a problem for sure. But there was that whole like 18, what is it like 13 days or something like that, that one movie where the guy gets stuck in a canyon and rock falls on his hand and he has to chop off his hand to get out of there.
I remember the movie. I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, it's like
But so
72
when the
hours.
landscape changed on us and the snow started coming down, that's when like I had to get out and pretty much walk up this entire just to kind of guide Sal up because like again, snow had covered everything at that point.
Yeah.
When it was just kind of flurrying when we first started, it wasn't even showing up on the ground. It would just melt. But it was coming down so hard that one, Sal couldn't see. And two, like it was now covering all the obstacles and everything was wet.
It was so dangerous. Looking
I
back
could
on it,
hear your butthole pucker.
it was so dangerous. And luckily I have pretty good memory of like short-term memory that I was like, okay, I know exactly what's coming up. I know what's up. And it's crazy because the Mojave Jeep doesn't really have much over hood view. Like you
No,
can't
you
see
can't see
anything.
over the hood.
No, and that's that. My Jeep is actually tilted almost like a pre-runner with the front end a little bit higher than the rear end.
Yeah.
So that didn't help anything. And I just remember I really wanted you to drive so I could pick the lines for the obstacles, but you got the concept down pretty fast and you were able to tell me with hand signals like, oh no, this, no, this, you know, like, so you did pretty good for learning how to be a spotter on the fly. I will say that.
Well, thank you.
If
But
it would have been me,
there was no way I was driving your Jeep. Like you got $100,000 invested in that thing, and there was a zero chance I was going to take it on those trails. Like
oh,
had it been a
no.
mudding trail here in Tennessee, sure. Like out there, no.
Yeah. You know, I built it thinking that I was going to go out there and wrangle it up and, you know, get all sorts of desert pinstripe on it. But like, I've been pretty technical on my off-roading and able to get away with just the minimal, like brushing up against rocks here and there with like the rock sliders or the, you know, the track bars or something like that. So thankfully, yeah, that wasn't the case this time. But you would have had it, bro. Like you would have done just fine just driving. Like after a while,
Well,
it's
I'm
just
sure,
like you
but
learn.
there's certain things I'm not going to risk. I'm not going to risk damaging somebody else's car. It's not worth it.
That's why we got insurance, buddy. That's why we got insurance. So we got out of there, and that was a different monster getting off of those. And then we had to come back. We had to come back through the way we went in. So everything that was an uphill was now a downhill, and everything that was a downhill was now an uphill. And it was
On slick
sleeting,
rocks.
and it was rock, and it was slick. And I remember just thinking, thank God for spending $4,000 on a front locker with air, because we weren't gonna. No way that the electronics on an irregular system would have kicked in, being articulated as we were already articulated. So for those who aren't watching, when you buy a Jeep Gladiator or a Jeep Rubicon, regular Jeep, or a Jeep Gladiator Rubicon, you have electric lockers in the front and you have one in the back, and it allows you to lock all four tires at the same time, and then all four spin together. Normally you'll have one in the rear, one in the front spinning, and then whichever one loses traction in the air, you're pretty much screwed, unless you have a locker and then you can lock them. But point of the story is if you have electric lockers on a newer Jeep, or a Jeep that has a lot of electronics in it, it will not let you activate it if you're already off-road and articulated. It'll tell you like, no, conditions aren't right. Put the Jeep on flat ground and do it. And you're like, okay, well, I'm in a situation where I'm going to die if you don't turn on right now. And I was actually put in that position before with my Jeep, and I made the decision to spend $4,000 on a front locker, air locker, and then an air locker in the rear, because I was like, well, what's the point of having an air in the front and not one in the rear? So I just did it that way. But you saw firsthand that air lockers are freaking awesome. Turn of a switch, air compressor kicks on, all of a sudden your air lockers go on, and now you're just getting out of harm's way like nothing. No spinning tires, no nothing. And we had the bead locks on the tires, and we were able to air. I think we only went down to like 15 pounds, which we could have gone down to 5 pounds and it would have been even better, honestly.
Yeah.
So we got out of there unscathed for sure.
Yeah. So
and that was the end of day 2.
Day 2, because we trekked an hour and a half out there. We had an hour and a half back, and we were out there. I think we rode an hour out, and it probably took us another hour to get out. And then like we had to remove sway bars, air down the tires before we started, then re-air the tires before we drove back. So that pretty much wrapped up day 2 right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got back, and I think we looked at the time and we're like, there ain't no way we're going to get another trail in today.
Yeah.
Especially the way the conditions were. And it was so funny because it wasn't coming down inside the town. It was more just coming down on the outskirts, wherever the trails were at. And we kept on going alongside this river trying to find these monuments. And that's when you were like, hey, bro, let's
wrong road.
Yeah, we were on the wrong road altogether. I mean, we got to go to some places where I had to relieve myself in nature. And that was kind of interesting. And
I forgot all about that.
That was an interesting story. And we'll talk more about that on this podcast right now. So we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly for sure.
So no, we can't move past that. So at one point, we knew at some point we were gonna have to go outside. Sal was prepared for that. He brings his dude wipes. He's got bags. So he goes out to this rock and he does his business. And he comes back with his bag. And I figured, all right, cool. He's not going to leave his dude wipes out there. Like he's going to bring them back and we'll throw them away. It wasn't until later I realized he had gone in the bag. Like everything. I was like, why didn't you just go on go out? It's nature. Like animals do it.
I just didn't want to be that guy. I didn't want somebody to come up because it was a trail. So it was a trail that I was on.
Like a coyote has never used the bathroom on that trail.
No, I just, you could spot coyote droppings because there's like berries in it and stuff like that. And you know what coyote craps are. You can look at something and be like, that's human shit. And I didn't want to be that guy contributing to the delinquency of the out of towners. So I was just like, you know what? Just I'm not doing it. So I bagged up my stuff, and I'm in that habit because as a canine handler, like I had to pick up my dog's droppings wherever I go. So I have bags handy. The interesting part was like, do I crap on the floor and grip and rip? And I was like, you know what? Let's just eliminate the possibilities of that. So I was in a strange Haji squat. And like I had my gun in my hand because I was like, I'm not dying by a cougar, like killing me, like
a mountain lion jumps out,
like a mountain lion. So I have my back up against this rock and I'm just like going, I'm looking left and right on this trail. And I'm like, and then I'm looking in the brush and I'm like, man, if there's a cougar just looking at me right now, ready to pounce, he's going to get a whole magazine of 9mm right now. And luckily that didn't happen. But yeah, I went in and I relieved myself inside the bag and it was perfect. And then I just grabbed either end of it and I brought it out and I had my dude wipes and everything. And I just decided, I was like, oh, pack it in. You got to pack it out. Take it with me. And there was no trash cans available for me to just unload it right then and there. Somehow you always come in tucked in just a little bit tighter than when you first, like you leave a little bit tucked in tighter than when you first came into the park. And so I come out all tucked up and Ryan, you're like, what do you got? I'm like, what do you mean? I fucking shit in the bag. And you're just like, oh my God. And yeah, that was the disgusting story. But I know people that have a shit tent, Ryan, when they go out off-roading. They have like this, like tents are these days where it just comes
Yeah,
in a circle and you just throw it up in the air and it unfolds everywhere and just comes down. Well, people have like these little shit tents. And
that's a little
I
too much
remember
work.
I remember thinking like, you have a shit bucket? Like, why don't you just get an e-tool and just dig it and bury it? But this
Right.
time I didn't have an e-tool with me, or a pick or anything like that. So I can just like start digging it out or just, bury it. So I was just like, I kind of went against what I normally believe and I packed it out like that. But people have those shit tents and those shit buckets. And I'm like, I think you're getting away from being out in nature by doing that, just it's a natural thing. Just keep it natural.
I keep an e-tool in my truck just in case.
Yeah, and I'm gonna put one in the Molly racks inside the Jeep now. I will do that. I promise you for the next trip, and I'll try not to do that. But man, I had to go that day, and I remember thinking we had just gone so far up this road, thinking that we were gonna run into the offshoot that takes us to these monuments, and like we weren't ever gonna hit that. We were gonna hit the highway before we
And
saw that for
we could have
sure.
found I-7.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And so yeah, that was my interesting poop story for the trip. And there's always one humorous event like that, I think.
So that pretty much wrapped up that
Day
second
two.
day there. Day 3, that's kind of where Ryan started to panic a little bit. Our goal was like it was cold that morning, so we did the hike in the afternoon. No, we did the hike that morning, the first thing in
Yeah.
the morning. Yeah,
Yep. First thing in the
um,
morning, we went out to
because we wanted to go to Arches National Park. We wanted to see
Windows.
the arches that were out there, and so we drove out there, and we did some. There was a couple short hikes that you can do to see just
Delicate
like
art.
the very scenic arches. But then there's a long hike that you can do to go out to Delicate Arch.
Hmm.
That one's a little bit more difficult. So if you got kids, like kids can make it. Just plan on like bringing some. You should bring water and snacks for that one.
A lot of water. The other one was Devil's Garden. We didn't go down to the
Yeah, we
Devil's
didn't go to
Garden.
Devil's Garden, but I think we looked on a map. And we said that would have been a longer drive out there. That would have killed more of our time.
More fuel too. Yeah.
But
Devil's
Delicate Arch was awesome. That
mm,
was an awesome hike, which kinda leads me to one of the points that I wrote down in the notes I wanted to cover. The purpose of this trip was not a vacation. I mean, it was a vacation. It was mental health, but I think there's a difference in vacations versus like a travel adventure. I put this in the travel adventure category. I think anybody that just wants to relax and recoup, anybody can book a room and go sit on a beach and get room service and drink beer all day long. I think that's fine for those people, but I don't think that's who Sal and I are. And so we wanted to do something that kind of forces us to work, and we wanted to be outdoors. And for the record, the only time we spent at the hotel was to sleep.
yeah.
We get there in the evening times. We'd recover our gear, repack and stuff for the next day, and then we were up early in the mornings and out the door. During the day, we never saw the hotel. But you got to be prepared. You got to be physically prepared to do some of these adventures. And I think at some point we even talked about like, hey, next trip we should bring the girls. And I was like, well, that's funny.
Yeah. I have a little secret weapon with my girl, and she just, she adapts, and or I will leave her behind on my next trip, and she understands that, and she's like, "Oh shit, I gotta get moving," Like, I remember the first time I took her to Zion and got her a nice rucksack at REI in Vegas, and I got her all the things. I made sure she had some brand new hiking boots, and I made sure that they were really, really well fitted. I made sure that she had all the right gear. I was like, "Look, this is gonna be uncomfortable, so it's best to be comfortable while you're uncomfortable." And she's like, "Okay." And like 2 minutes, not even 2 minutes, it was like 30 seconds into the first hike, she like trips over her feet and goes straight and just face plants like right into the right into the ground. And I was like, "You good?" Like, and she's like, "Ah, I'm good." And like she just starts trekking it out like she's just a little boss. And I was like, that's my girl right there, like that, like most girls would have been like, "This is stupid, this is dumb, I don't want to be here, like I'm not gonna." And at the time it was shut down. So we had to trek 10 miles in from the gate just to
Mhm.
get to the obstacles, or not the obstacles, but the trails. And then that day we did like, think we ended up like hiking out like 30 miles, like just shy of 30 miles in one day. Whenever I said, "Hey, like we should bring the girls at," and you're like, "I don't know." I was
I
like,
told I had that conversation with Courtney. I was like, "Hey," I said, "You're more than welcome to go on some of these adventures we go, but you got to get ready for them."
Yeah.
We're not sitting at a hotel chilling and lounging, and if you got to stay back, you're going to be bored all day. That's on you. You got to
Yeah.
keep up.
No,
And I love her to death, and I'm not doubting Courtney. If you're listening, I know you're going to be listening later, but I'm not doubting your ability. I just know that you're a target, Mom.
yeah, shit. You know, for anybody listening out here, whenever you plan to make a trip with a friend like this, something should be left behind is your ability to complain. Just leave that shit behind.
Mhm.
You know, and just know that you're coming out to one of these things to get out of your comfort zone and experience something in a different light. You know, push yourself. Sometimes it's fun because my friend Steve Bart, he came out and he's like, "Hey, dude, I'm testing for special forces and I want to test against you and see if I can make these trails and beat you." And I'm like, "Let's go, bro!" Like, and we were running up Angel's Landing, like running up it. Most people just walk it, and they're like, "It'll take forever." I remember we did that trail quick, you know, and that's my style. Is like if I see a challenge, I'm like, "Hey, bro, let's run up this right now, or let's do this." So it's not for the faint of heart, and just get out there and push yourself because you're never going to be out there again. Chances
Mhm.
are, you know, like live in the now. Don't live in the future. Like, don't say like, "Oh, well, maybe next time we'll do it a little faster." Like, fuck that noise. Like, let's
Yeah.
get up there. Let's do this. Let's do the hard thing. So yeah, you want to make sure that you're ready for something like this whenever you do. And we had the opportunity to do some more hikes for sure while we were up in Utah, me and you. But we also had the Jeep to think about too, and that thing's loaded
Yeah.
out. And like we couldn't. I think for me at least there was the idea like, "Oh, I don't want to get too far away from the Jeep because people might start stealing some of my gear, you know, like."
Yeah.
But I mean, I think for the most part, people were they were pretty impressed by the Jeep, and nobody really bugged us with it. We didn't, you know, like, what are they going to take? You know, like a spare tire? Like, good
Yeah.
luck putting a 38-inch tire on, on
If they could
something, you know?
muscle that thing out of there, good luck.
You deserve it. Yeah.
But,
Um,
now let's circle back to the Delicate Arch. So that was it was quite the hike up there. It was pretty I felt like it took us forever to get up there, but it took us
mhm.
no time to get down. Like, it was mainly uphill for the most part, but once we got on that ledge, like that ledge that kinda went around the outside, and then we got up to the arch, and we had to climb a little bit. That was really, really cool. That was really, really scary because there was no like, you get too
No,
close
there's
to the
nothing.
edge.
Intrusive thoughts will come into your head. So it's like, don't.
And it was windy that day too, and I was like, "Oof."
Yeah. You know, the only thing worse than falling off a cliff and dying is falling off a cliff and living. Because that's one of those things where I say like, yeah, if we fall, don't worry about it. You know, this will be the last thing I ever do. But
Yeah.
like, if it's like kind of like mediocre fall, it's like, that's not going to kill me. That's just going to hurt really bad. You know, so that's what
I'm
I
not gonna
worry about.
walk anymore.
Yeah, like that's gonna alter life for sure.
So when we got up to Delicate Arch, right, and you finally saw, and you didn't tell me anything about this picture before until we got up there. You
Hmm.
got a little teary eyed. Kind of walk us through that.
I did. So I had promised my mom before she had passed. I remember just thinking that it's really important to have a plan for the future. It's really important, especially when you're sick with cancer, that you make plans, that you keep that idea that you're going to get through this and that you're going to make it through. And an object in motion stays in motion. So I was making a lot of plans for my mom and myself. And I was like, "Mom, I'm going to take you to." I said, "As soon as you get better, we're going to go to Utah. I'm gonna take you to these places," because she would see pictures of me going to all these places, and remember, she would always just tell me like, "Go out there, like go see the things, like buy your big boat, Junior, and just enjoy it. Like you can't take anything with you can't take any of it with you. Like stop saving your money, like having a huge bank account just for what? Like
Yeah.
use it, plan for tomorrow, but have fun today." And she's like, "Your Jeep, just use it. Who cares if it gets ruined? You'll fix it. Like just get out there and use it." So I remember thinking to myself, I was like, "Mom, I'm going to take you to these arches. These landscapes are just breathtaking." The last time I had gone up there, I was looking for it and I could not find it. And then the people that I went with, they had kids, so they were like, "Hey, we're only gonna do this trail today, and we're only gonna do that trail." And I'm like, let me find this arch. And then of course this trip was, like I said, it was like a pilgrimage for me. So when I got up there and I finally found, because we had already gone to four different
Yeah.
arches, and I
Yeah.
remember
This
like,
last one, yeah.
and I was just like, "This isn't it. Like, this is not the one. Like, we're gonna find it." And then I remember thinking to myself, like, that was the last one that we were going to that day, and
Mhm.
that morning because we had other things planned. And I was just like, "Man, I hope this is it." And I remember there was no picture of it like anywhere around.
Not on the map, not on the
And even
signs, nothing.
no,
Yeah.
nothing. No. So you were just like, oh, you're just doing this trail. And you're like, okay, well, see what we see when we get up there, you know? And we got up there and we did the trek, did the climb, and then we had to do some like scaling, a little bit of scaling to get up to where we were going to be at. And I remember I passed this curve on the mountain, and then it just presented itself, and it was such a beautiful sight. Like everything just kind of just it just kind of just took me for by surprise, because I was just like, oh shit, there it is. Like I wasn't prepared to see it, to see how beautiful that thing was. And I remember just thinking like mom, like I hope you're here with me right now, so that you could see this. Like I remember I just started tearing up, and you looked over at me and you're like, I love you, buddy. And I was like, it was amazing, honestly. And I was so glad that we got up there and there wasn't anybody around to ruin it for me. Like there was
Mhm.
just us, and there was a respectful couple that were up there, that they hid themselves up against the wall in a nook,
Yeah.
and they just tucked in and they were just seated there, like hunkering down and then just observing. They weren't saying anything, not a hello or whatever, maybe a nod or something like that they gave us, but like they were up there for the same reason, and they wanted to
Because
be
we
up
did
there.
that too. Once we got over to the arch itself, we kind of sat up there and chilled for about probably about 20 minutes, and then we decided to hike it back down.
Yeah. And I'm
We
just
laid on a
and
cold rock.
yeah, like when you first saw it, it's like it looks like when you're finally on the ledge, and it looks like a giant bowl made out of clay, like something that you would spin on a potter's wheel. And I remember looking at it and I'm like, man, it looks tiny. Like, but the closer we got to it, I mean, this thing was magnanimous. It was huge. And I was like, oh man, like it doesn't pictures don't do it any justice until you finally get up there. And like you have to be
Yeah, you could
fit.
fly a plane through it.
Yeah, and you have to be fit to
Yeah.
get up there. Let's put it that way. And we saw some hefty, we saw some heavy hitters up there, and I got to give it to them. Like you
Yeah.
got good for you. You know, you got up there and you did the damn thing. But it was just we took pictures, Ryan. It doesn't even do
Pictures
anything.
do not do that area justice. I discovered that when I was out in Montana and Wyoming too. There's certain scenic things that you can try your best to get photos of, but the photos do not do it justice.
No,
You just
no,
gotta sometimes you just gotta put the phone away and just enjoy it.
yeah. And it's like I was telling you this. I was telling you when we first got up there, I was like, bro, you ain't gonna be able to take any pictures. Like, it's not gonna do it justice. And you're like, really? And I was like, yeah, like it just doesn't. It doesn't translate. It does not translate over.
Mhm.
And I remember just seeing all that, and like I got super emotional, bro. It got so emotional when I saw that arch, because I had been trying to find it for like 5 years, and just and I really don't like to ask too much. I like to kind of like discover things on my own, and it gets me to
Yeah,
get out
just
there and not
explore.
yeah, it gets me to get out there and explore and not miss the small things, and like the other things to see, like just discover it when you're ready to discover it, and when it's time you'll find it, and we
Yeah.
did. We walked up there and we located it, and we hung around for like 20 or 30 minutes, and it was fun. There was a few moments where I was like, oh man, I'm going to die up here. Like if we fall through this arch, but just so crazy just to think, how long did nature have to do its thing for this object to be out there and to be shaped and carved in the way that it did? And
Mhm.
everything just had to be perfect, and it was perfect. And I have like this picture on my wall of that location, and it's like a national park collector's set. It's like every time you go to a park and you visit a monument, like they'll sell you one of these art pieces. And I've had it hanging in my kitchen for years, and I remember just thinking, like, Kat was like, "Hey, you want to put this one up?" And I was just like, "We haven't visited that one. Like, that's one of the ones I need to find." And we hung it just because it's beautiful. And I remember just thinking, like, that one doesn't deserve to be up there, just like the rest of them. But now it does, and it has more meaning for me being up there. So yeah, I think that was the highlight of it for me. Nothing is going to top the what do you want to call it? The extreme adrenaline dump from the day prior of almost dying. But as far as an emotional top, nothing's going to top that one for me. Not for a long, long time, I think.
Yeah,
It
that was a
was
good one.
I mean, I'm not an overly like emo type person. I'm like a man's man, but like if something like that could just break you down, like there's something to be said about that location, you know?
Yeah.
Like I wanted to go barefoot, dude. I wanted to go, you know, I wanted to be
Well, the
one
rocks are
with,
cold.
man, it was nuts for
But
sure.
if you
I
want to go
loved it.
back when it's warmer, I will go up in sandals and go barefoot with you.
Oh my God, that's what I'm afraid of. But we still have to do Zion, and
Zion's next.
we have to do Zion the hard way. That's the tough one, and it's hiking.
Yeah.
You ain't taking a bus. You're hiking the 10 miles in, you're hiking the 10 miles out after you've done all the trails. And then there's this place in Zion called the Narrows, and it's a river that flows through a series of canyons, and there's spots where you can't walk alongside the river. You have to get into the river and get waist deep and wade through all these obstacles and stuff. And like it just keeps going and going and going further into the Narrows, and that's why they call it the Narrows. But that in itself, bro, the weeping rocks, and like it's just a different type of red rock around you. I mean, they're rocks, but they're still kind of foresty. So
Uh-huh.
you get a different atmosphere altogether while you're going through Zion. And so that's another one we're gonna have to do for sure. And I love being the type of person, Ryan, that has been to these locations before, and then bringing my friends that can appreciate it. Like I just won't take anybody there. Like
Yeah.
if you're not philosophical, if you're not, you know, if you're not emotionally connected, I'm not wasting my time taking you up there, because you have no business being next to me if I'm going to be sharing something like this. And you're just like,
Yeah.
oh, this is kind of gay. Like, cool rock. I'd be like, man, dude, if you said that to me, I'd probably put you on a fucking plane right then and there and be like, get the fuck out of here. I probably would have left the hotel. I would have gone to the Hoodoo. I would have put you up in the Hoodoo, and I would have stayed at the slack line. But that's the other thing is it's like know who you're going to these places with,
Yeah.
because it's a vulnerability. Like when you're inviting people to these places to go with you, you're also, you know, if you're going to go and you're going into a spiritual, you know, embarking on a spiritual trail
It's
or
a
trek.
shared emotional experience.
Yeah, it's huge. So don't bring anybody that's not of the same mindset. It's just going to ruin it for you. Like just I was myself the whole time. I could be
Yeah.
myself. You could be yourself, you know? And even when we were scared shitless like we were going to die, we were still both like, "Oh fuck, dude, we're going to fucking die over here."
We had fun regardless.
Yeah.
But after that hike on day 2, that's when we tackled Hell's Revenge. I'm just trying to speed this up because we're kind of at the hour mark already. So Hell's Revenge was the very next thing that we decided to undertake, and it is was it level 6?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a level 6 trail. Don't quote me on these rating systems. I just know that Sal had done 4 before when he had done, what's it called? What was the other trail?
Fins and things.
Fins and things. That was 4. We did 5 at Elephant Hill. And so Sal's like, I think we can do 6. And when he said, I think we can do 6, I'm like, oh, worse than yesterday? Great. That sounds like fun. And so
It was fun.
we get into the park, and the guy's like, well, Hell's Revenge is right there. And so the entrance was right. And so we were actually thinking about going down to Fins and things. And he's like,
Oh.
you just want to take Hell's Revenge? I'm like, you know what? Let's do it, man. And so the entrance to this thing,
It wasn't even the gatekeeper.
Yeah.
It was just
It was a soul keeper, is what it was, because my soul left my body. So there's no seeing over the hood. You can't even see if you're on this. So it's a ledge. It's like just imagine a rolling ledge that keeps going up. So there's canyons.
You're on a ridgeback. You're on a ridge line of a mountain.
And there's only enough for barely one vehicle. I would imagine a four-wheeler, perfect. Walking, I still would have been nervous. We're taking a Jeep up there.
So
I was terrified.
One set of tires is on one side of the mountain. The other set of tires is on the other side of the mountain. And we are high centering this whole thing as we're going up this mountain for sure.
And you're talking, what was it? It was probably 200 feet high, right?
A little bit more, I think, probably more. It was like climbing up Colossus. Like a roller coaster. Like it's that first big hill. You're like, I don't know if we should. I'm locked in now. Like we can't go back.
You can't back down it. Once dangerous. You start, you have to keep going. And I remember thinking like, all right, if I'm gonna go, at least I'm going with Sal. It's cool. Like
it was fucking dangerous. When you get to the summit and you still can't see over the hood, and you're already starting to teeter forward, and you still can't see over the hood because the Mojave hood is so fucking big.
A lot of the obstacles on that trail, if we couldn't see over and we're starting to summit, I had the option of being able to hop out and go look. On this ridgeback, there's no hopping out. You open the door, you're falling to your death.
I remember being like Ace Ventura, and I'm like hanging out the window, and I'm driving. I'm like, "Oh, we're good, Ryan. We're good. We're good. We're gonna be just fine." And you're like, "Fuck, like we're gonna die." And I was like, at that point, it's like just hope to God I built this thing right and make sure that it's, And yeah, our first descent, you were like, I remember at one point my feet were up against the firewall of the Jeep, and we are going down, and I have it's like an altimeter,
Yeah.
built inside the Jeep's computer. It just came as a function, but it tells you don't go over 35 degrees, either sideways or forward, because you will tip forward and tip over. And I remember we were like a couple notches beyond 35 degrees,
Yeah.
and I was just like, buddy, like this is deep. I mean, like I'm reclining my seat just to like put more weight towards the back.
But
And we
that
got
whole
into
trail required, so that trail was 6 miles long, and it took us a good 4 hours to do. When we talk about obstacles, we're not talking about every couple of miles there'll be an obstacle. You couldn't go 100 feet on this trail without there being an obstacle. I spent most of my time out walking this.
Yeah.
I think I had
I think you walked.
20,000
I
steps
think
that
you
day.
walked 6 miles that day
Yeah,
for sure.
insane.
Yeah. So the entire or Hell's Revenge is a 6 mile loop, but it'll take you all day to do the 6 miles. It'll take you all day for sure. And yeah, you did a shit ton of walking that day, bro.
But I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Oh man. Yeah. No, and the Jeep did it. The Jeep absolutely did it. I don't think it was anything that we were like, can't get up, or like, hey, back it down. Like, no, this thing could still do it. I am positive we can do a 7 and an 8.
Yeah.
With it. I remember we got down to this thing called the tip over challenge.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And you're like, the exit's that way, Sal. Like, we can take a shortcut and go to the exit right now, or we can go up the tip over challenge. And I was like, I kind of wanted to go do the tip over challenge, bro. And you're like, no, I don't want to fucking do nothing to tip over. Does not sound good. And luckily for us, the one thing that I wanted to hit on that trail was called the Devil's Staircase. And just, you know what? It was your luck that day, because there was an off-roader that was stuck inside that wedge, and he was getting winched out. And I was like, I'm not waiting around for this. Let's go do this tip over challenge. Let's get out of here. And the pools, what do they call them? The hot tubs up there?
Yeah.
They call them the hot tubs, yeah. Those were filled with water. And I was like, no, dude, I'm not sticking my Jeep where it's more narrow than it is long. Like my Jeep is pretty long. So I was like, I'm not going in there to get it stuck for no reason. Like, my plan is not to be up here for forever. And then how do you get it out? What, you're going to have to airlift it, get a helicopter out there and
so
lift it up?
we were breaking all the rules of off-roading. Like they say, never go by yourself. We were by ourselves the whole time. But we knew that Sal had confidence in his Jeep. I had confidence in his Jeep and his driving ability. And we knew that we'd survive regardless.
Yeah, we did that one pretty damn good. My buddy was like, "Oh, dude, you should do Poison Spider next," and I'm like, "Don't tempt me, bro. I'm gonna do it." So I think.
So I will say that we had some excellent video. So I was kind of nervous when we took this trip because I just gotten rid of my GoPro, and I thought, man, I wish I would have kept my GoPro now. But I took a lot of video clips from those Ray-Ban Meta glasses, and I think those came in clutch. We got some really, really good video footage out there. And now we took some iPhone photos and stuff too, but most of the videos were Meta.
Okay, yeah. So the other thing was that you had was really awesome. I have the RAM mounts inside the Jeep, right? And that was cool to hold like my iPad that I use for like Onyx off-road. And then I have one for my phone in case I need to do another GPS of something, another trail map or whatever. But you had like this really cool suction cup gadget that you'd got off on Amazon for like $20. Yeah. That thing came in so clutch. It was so awesome. I'm not even sure what the name of that thing was.
I don't either, but it like suction cups and it spins and kind of locks in place. It won't come off unless you take it off physically.
I think we can eliminate a lot of packing out for the next trip. I get a set of, and I'm gonna get my own Meta glasses. I'm gonna get the Series 2 or the second gen, the Meta glasses, just for off-roading and for like all the treks and the hikes and stuff, because that film came out really great, actually, like really, really clean. And I don't know if our speakers hook up to those glasses or not, but they still have some pretty damn good audio built into them. Things that I feel like we shouldn't have packed. The stands, the microphone stands, and like the cell
Yeah.
phone stands, like we really didn't use those because it was windy and they were going to get knocked over anyways. What else did we just not end up?
Even my camera, like I took this camera, the Sony vlogging camera, like we used it one time and never pulled it back out.
Yeah, we had a problem with that Sony linking up with our Rode pod mics, the on the go mics. And I think that was just because we used the wrong USB C cord, or
Yeah,
it
instead of
was
using
supposed
the
to have like,
USB-C, it should have had the just the actual
what
stereo
was it,
port,
35 millimeter, or yeah, that port.
whatever millimeter that little jack is.
Yeah, we should have used that. I don't know, dude. I mean, like, we didn't really pack out too much stuff, but with the tools that we brought were all the necessities. We brought the right amount of tools for the Jeep, and that was fine. And the air compressor on the Jeep, and like the CO2. We didn't. Did we end up using the CO2 tank? I don't think we did, huh?
No, no, we
No,
didn't
that
use
was
it.
just a contingency.
Like after day 2, when we went out there, we trekked all the way out to Elephant Hill without the fuel. Now, fuel was kind of a worry that you were having, but we made it back just fine. Right? We had
Yeah.
plenty of fuel. So the very next day, we topped off that fuel can that you brought with you, and I want to
Mhm.
say that thing was like 10 gallons or more.
Yeah.
And that thing, but the entire rest of the trip, we never used it.
No.
So we ended up like I think the very last day, we just dumped all that fuel into the Jeep.
Yeah, so I would probably say like just carrying those jerry cans would be enough. Honestly, maybe a 3 or 5 gallon jerry can that just hooks up to the side, like those Roto packs or something like that. I think that would have been just fine and would have saved a lot of space. We didn't even use the Yeti cooler that I brought.
Yeah.
Did not. If anything, it just kept things from freezing overnight, and so our monsters were nice and cold, and our Red Bulls were like at a pretty good temperature. But like honestly, we didn't need to pack that out either.
Yeah.
But
Because
I
we
think
had water. We had packs with hydration packs and
oh
stuff in
yeah.
them.
If you're going to do Moab, take your own water because there was no faucets at the start of the
Yeah.
trail. I know some national parks will have like a blivet there to fill up on water, or like a water buffalo or something like that to fill up your canteens and stuff, but there was none. So if you guys are going to go out there to Moab, Utah, make sure you're packing out all your water and taking it with you and hydrate like crazy because we were pretty dehydrated. And I'll tell you what, food
Yeah.
out there. We ate at the Hoodoo, the restaurant at the Hoodoo, and we felt very out of place day one.
So
We did
that was definitely a tourist location. So when
yeah,
when
that was
people
like,
come in that just kind of want to sit at the hotel and like they just went to Moab to spend some money and go maybe drive and see some sights,
yeah.
that's where they want to stay. Fancy hotel, steak dinners. That's what like that was not us. We
I
did feel like
I'm, I like a good steak dinner, but I wouldn't write home about it on that one.
yeah.
It wasn't anything that I would be like, this was amazing and I'm coming back now. Like it was decent, but dude, I got more out of that diner burger than anything. Dude.
Yeah. And the guys at the diner, like shout out to them. Moab Diner was the name of it. But
Oh yeah.
I think they started following the podcast because as we're walking out the first day, they did notice Sal's Jeep, and Sal's Jeep had Code 4 Podcast banner on top of it.
Yeah.
And even we're walking out and they're like, hey guys, good luck with the podcast. And they had our Instagram pulled up, and I don't know if they still follow us or not, but they did
Yeah.
while we were out there.
Huge shout out to that diner. You kept our energy high, and the burgers are super fresh, tasty. Their milkshakes were damn good too, and the hospitality was awesome. I really enjoyed the other little diner that was right across the way. It was like a little breakfast spot that was pretty good too.
Yeah, we ate there twice.
Yeah. So great places to be out in
Cactus
Moab.
Jack's was the name of it.
Cactus Jacks, that's right. A great place to be at. There's a lot of cool little nooks that you can find in there. A lot of restaurants. They do close early though. I will say that.
Yeah.
Like if you don't get in before 8, the whole town shuts down. Like,
But I think that's just because we were there during off season. I think during peak season they may have longer hours because they have more of a crowd.
maybe. And we did this pizza joint there too. I don't know. Yeah,
I forgot the name of that, but
yeah, we went out kind of crazy on the diet. I was just like,
we had
whatever
to
out here.
refuel.
And I finally got my gas station glizzy on the way home. I was bound to eat a hot dog while I was out there, and Ryan, he was like, "All right, man, I'll get one with you." And they weren't too bad for Mavericks, so we did do that. It was pretty nice.
But well, we forgot to recap our third day. So our third day, we woke up and there was probably 4 or 5 inches of snow on the ground. So that morning, we couldn't go do any hikes. We weren't going to do any trails, especially with the snow on the ground. We knew come later in the day, it's supposed to warm up and all that stuff would likely melt. So if we had to go do some muddy hiking trails, we could. That morning, we just kind of hung around the hotel, worked on some stuff, and then we went and hiked on that snow cover. What was that? That was the ridge. We did the East Ridge and the West Ridge. I forgot the name of that park, but phenomenal views. And like the cool part is like we knew that there was a trail along the ridge, but you couldn't see it. So we were just kind of making our own path for the most part.
Oh yeah. I forgot that.
And it was beautiful out there.
God,
I think had we done that any other day when it wasn't snow covered, I don't think we would have appreciated it as much. But having the snow covering the canyons and
I got you a coin from there. Dead Horse.
Yeah,
Dead Horse Canyon. Dead Horse Canyon. Yeah. Oh man, that was fantastic. I felt like a pioneer, man.
Yeah.
I was out there. We were like, man, which ways? And there was nothing to keep you from falling off the ledge.
No.
That was the scary part. We're like, does the trail go this way? We're getting pretty close to the edge here. And they're like, no, the trail's over there. I was like, oh shit. Okay, let's go. That was fantastic, honestly. Like we didn't end up doing the other side. We ended up just cutting it in half, I think.
No, we did both the East and the West Ridge. I think come the West Ridge, it kind of circled around and we ended up cutting off the part of it.
Yeah. Which it was just the backside of the mountain and there was really nothing else. The special part about that whole place, apparently the folklore or the story to that canyon, from what I was told by one of the park rangers, was that they had abandoned these horses whenever the early settlers were there, and they had basically grouped these horses on top of this mesa, this canyon, and there was no water for these horses at all. So at a certain point in time, the horses started to get into kind of desperate, and they were jumping to their deaths to go get water.
Because they could see the Colorado run through the canyon.
Yeah, and so they ended up just with a bunch of dead horses out there, and that's how they got its name. So it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
But a beautiful landscape, beautiful. And then we saw trails down there, man.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like,
next time we got to find out how to get down there.
Oh, I know, man. That's what I'm saying. I remember we were talking. What was his name? Mark, the guy at the
hotel.
The hotel, was it Mike? We were talking to Mike, and I was like, bro, I don't even think I could do this every trail in a month. And he was like, that'd take about 2 weeks. Take you about 2 weeks to do them all. And I'm like, I don't think so, bro. There's so much to be discovered out there. I think we could have been in Elephant Head Park or in Canyonland. I think we could have been out there for at least 4 days, just seeing stuff, But definitely it was super fun. Again, 4 days. What was it? 1 day of travel. And then it was 4 days that we were in town.
No, 3.
3 days?
We had 1 day of travel on each side and then 3 full days we had there.
That's right. Yeah. I would say we need 5 days of traveling, or I'm sorry, 5 days of hikes and stuff like that to really kind of
make it a 4-week trip.
And I honestly, I gotta say, it was not tiring. Like I was not getting tired of you. There was no point in my time where I was like, no, they say that guests get, they say after 3 days guests get kind of stale. It's like,
yeah, that's fair.
But like I was not. At any point in time, I was not getting like irritated with you or anything like that, and you were perfect company to have, especially out there. And like I think you have to have people that are like that. Like, don't have people that are like, well, let me see what's on the menu. I don't know about this. I don't know about that. And it's like, just grab a fucking gas station hot dog and a bag of chips and let's go. So if you have that mentality,
I don't trust a man that won't eat an old fashioned American hot dog.
That's right. SWAT right there. Yeah. So know who you're taking out there with, know who you're packing out, because ultimately they're going to be the ones that are either going to make it or break it for you.
I will say that sharing a hotel with Sal, that's probably the first time we've ever been that
Shared
close
space.
and shared that type of space together. Sal is the more animated one on here and humorous and witty, and 100% he wakes up that way from Jump Street. There was one point in time when I was working on something on the computer and he was in the shower and I heard him laugh. And I'm like, what is he laughing about in the shower?
Remember that moment? I had peed on the floor in the shower. and it wasn't washing away, and it just started smelling like urine. And I was like, "Why did I do this?" And it was like the floor was uneven, so it was pooling on one area. And I was like, "Oh fuck, Ryan's gonna get so mad when he walks in here." I thought for sure I thought I wasn't gonna get caught. And then Ryan, of course, being a dad type of dude, he's all, "There's something fucking wrong with the toilet. It's not flushing correct." So you start dismantling this whole thing. And he's like, "I fixed it. You got to put your fingers down on this plunger and you got to hold that one. And then now you get the full whoosh." And I was like, "Bro, I wouldn't have put that much thought into that right there." But it
It was
was just,
aggravating. I didn't want to risk it for future events. I was like, you know what? Let's see if I can work on this right now.
no, but we both had things that we had to work on while we were out there. So we had our laptops with us, and I was doing my sergeant's testing project, and working on that while I was out there. That did help out a lot of clarity and bouncing ideas off you for sure. I had
And
fun.
I'm kind of glad it snowed because it kind of gave you some time. Like I think you were worried about having time to carve out to do that, and
Yeah.
so God graciously said, "You know what? I'm gonna give you some time right now."
And it was nice for sure. Dude, the hot tub, the physical therapy that the hot tub gave me, man, just relaxing my whole body. Dude, I was not ready to go home. Let's
Yeah,
put
I
it like
wasn't
that.
either. So, and then the last day, of course, was like at the end of the last day, we had to pack up, recover the Jeep, put the sway bar back up, repacked everything, and then we had an early out
God.
to get back to Vegas. And then somehow we timed that wrong. Like I ended up at Vegas like 4 hours
4 hours
early.
early.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know how we did man math, I guess, and it didn't
No,
work.
we were using our fingers. We were counting with our fingers and we were licking our fucking fingers just to make sure that we counted that finger too. Like we were pretty spot on with our math. It just something didn't
I think we
add
just
up
made really good time too.
because there was like an hour difference between Utah and Nevada. And I
Hmm.
remember just saying, like, okay, subtract an hour because we're going to gain an hour. And then but somehow, even with subtracting an hour, we still got there 4 hours early. And I was like,
But
buddy,
they gave us time to get there, and we got breakfast before you dropped me at the airport, and
we got to Cracker Barrel and I figured out
yeah.
that triangle.
Yeah.
Finally did it again.
It was a good travel day back home. Like you only had an hour and a half beyond there to go, and then I got into Nashville just fine. The flight took off on time. My truck was still there at the airport, so it was great.
It was a good time.
The only sad part was going home.
Yeah, it definitely was. Man, I was driving because we had driven what, 6 hours, 7 hours, right?
Hmm.
We had driven 7 hours, and I still had a 2.5 hour drive home, and I was just like, I was halfway home, and I was like, oh fuck, it's starting to set in. Like I'm fatiguing right now, and like pulled over, stretched my legs a little bit, and like headed home, and like I remember just crashing out at home, and then thinking like I got a test tomorrow. I'm like, oh my God. One of the craziest things about me, Ryan, is that I just cannot get home and do nothing and just forget
Yeah,
about
I can either.
all the things that I need to do. So luckily the house was like in pristine condition. All the beds were made and everything, and just everything was in a spot, but I still had the Gladiator to reset. So like took it down, took everything down, put everything back in its place, all my equipment inside the Jeep, and like washed it and prepped it back up for getting ready to go out again. And that's where it's at right now. Like I took off the wheels and tires, and I'm checking all the joints and retorquing everything down. And that's just
So
my
I think we're very much the same person. Like before the day before I left, my place was spotless because I wanted to come back to a
Mhm,
clean house to not have to do anything. And even when I walked in the door, I got home at like 8 p.m. that night
mhm,
after that long day of travel, and I still threw stuff in the laundry. My suitcase was fully unpacked, put away. Everything was put back in its place.
yeah.
So I knew that the next morning when I woke up, it was just a normal day.
Exactly. So that whole reset, even though when we were out there, we were resetting the Jeep every day. And we learned that from the military. And that's how you would do it when you leave a field training exercise and you were out there for 5 or 6 days. Each day you got back from the field, you lined up all the trucks, you took everything out of the trucks, you reset everything the way it was supposed to be. Everything was dressed right dress and ready for the next morning so that you knew where all your stuff was at. If something needed to
Mhm.
be recovered or fixed, if you fixed it that night and then you were good to go in the morning. And just keeping up with that, it's so much nicer when you get home and everything is just in its place right where you left it and the way you left it, and you cleaned and sanitized everything, and like the bed, just climbing into the bed that's tight. Nothing like it at all. Fucking love that. I love that about us. And I'm glad that you do that too, because I'm not the only one. But now I got to fix the Jeep again, Ryan. So found a little flaw after
The
our
steering
gauntlet.
box.
Yeah, the steering box there, I found a little issue with it, so I sent it back out. My buddy,
That's the
at
part you said was still under warranty, though, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
and it wasn't anything that they had fixed from last time. It's just a known part that goes out. It's a manufacturer defect. So they're over there at Redhead Steering Boxes. I just shipped it out yesterday, so it'll get there in a couple days, and they'll fix it, and then they'll ship it back out, and I'll reinstall it, and it'll be ready for the next trip. So I'm thinking about going long arms on it, Ryan, so that we can have a little bit more room for growth. Next, yeah, I think I'm removing the fenders for our next trip because there was a
Yeah,
few
there
moments.
was one part, one at one point it was articulated so much it was touching the rear fender and the front fender.
Yeah. So this time, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to eliminate the sway bars and do these things called rock jocks, or just doing full disconnects that just allow you to just it's on a fly. It's just a pin you pull and then they just disconnect and you're good to go. And pretty much you're articulating like crazy. So I think I'm going to end up doing that. Maybe some more lights. What do you think?
Yeah, I thought the lights that you had were awesome.
Yeah, we didn't get a chance to use the
Maybe a
winch.
light bar over top. Now, I will
Yeah.
tell you, there was that one snowy day that I got really good video that I was able to turn into that reel. I didn't know you had those undercarriage lights
The
up
rock
until we
lights.
got back to the hotel
Yeah.
because you didn't have them on.
Yeah.
It would have been helpful in the snow.
The other things that we packed, those little warmers, the little hand warmers.
Yeah.
Cat pack for
Thanks,
us.
Kat. Appreciate those.
Those were clutch for sure. And then long johns, right?
Yes.
Let's
Yes.
talk about the things that we wish we would have packed more of and less of.
So
I
I
think-
should have packed more long johns. I only brought one pair.
Yeah. I didn't know that I was just using the same pair of long johns. I didn't know that you were using them as underwear. I was just
Yeah,
using
you
them
don't
as
wear underwear with long johns, bro.
I come from a different world, man. I don't know, but I've always been
They're considered long underwear.
I
You just
I
put them
got-
on in lieu of underwear.
No, man. I put my underwear on, and then I put those long johns over that, and then I put my pants on, and I was snug as a bug. And then you're like, I fucking need to buy some more fucking long johns, man, because I already used these. And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, what the fuck did you do? You know, and like I didn't know that your ass was touching them, you know, like the whole time. And I was like, oh, makes sense, bro. Yeah, like.
That's why I washed them in the shower the first day.
And then I told you, I
the next day
said,
we
bro,
hit that.
I told you front side, back side, inside, outside, front side, back side. And you were like, that's fucking disgusting. I've never done that, but I've heard about that. And so I thought about telling you about that. But yeah, I think for the next trip, if we're going to keep doing these colder climates, pack enough long johns, maybe 5 pairs. And
Yep.
I don't know about those ones that you bought, or the ones that we bought afterwards. I don't think they were as handy as
thought
the
they were
first ones.
super comfortable. I actually liked them better than the ones. So the ones that I brought were, man, I got them from Duluth, the Buck Naked brand.
Yeah. The
And
ones that
then,
look like camouflage, right? Yeah. So I had a pair of snowboarding long johns, and those were super thick. And I'm honestly, at first I was like, bro, we're going to be sweating in these, dude. And then it got really cold. I mean, I think it was down to the 20s when we were
Yeah.
out hiking and stuff. And we were
It was like
comfortable.
14 or something with a wind chill because the wind was ripping across there too.
Yeah. Things that I don't think I needed, or I took a 3 system. I basically made my own 3 system jacket. So I had a vest, a thin liner, and then I also had a thick liner, or like a coat that was actually like waterproof, a windbreaker style. So I did a 3-tier system, and then those pack away like nothing. They're super soft shells, and they roll into like a little ball like this. And so I remember having those with me, and I think I'll never stop doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm honestly just invest in a really good jacket. I think that was another thing. And the boots. So I know you bought those. I still have them
So
back here.
I had a brand new pair of Danners that I wore out there, and I still swear by Danners. Danner makes great boots. I went with the wide version for a change, and they felt good on day 1, but day 2 after the hiking, I was like, these are not it. They were more of a heavy boot, like made for like standing, maybe hunting, something like that. Not meant to traverse canyons and mountains like we were. More flex to it than what those offered. They were they were more like the boots that you got when you went to Afghanistan.
Yeah, those really rubbery type thick boots for sure. Like and I think you said that they're waterproof too.
Yeah.
It served
So
its
I ended
purpose
up buying instead of those Lone Peak Ultras out there that were waterproof, and That last hike we did, they were amazing because we were hiking through snow. I was comfortable. My feet were warm.
Yeah, those came in clutch for sure. I've always just ran not my Danners. What brand were they? I forget right now, but like I always run those type of boots, and they're just like they're super comfortable. It almost feels like shoes, like running
Yeah.
shoes, and I swear by those because we trek a lot. We're out there for hours and hours and hours and hours. It's like to take care of your feet. Packed extra socks just in case. And I could have used them because my feet did get wet on that third day, the hiking on the third day. I was like, man, like I was starting to get miserable. And then we went down this other hike. I forgot where we were going, but we found this girl and she was out there with a French bulldog. And I just
I
remember,
forgot about that. Yeah.
I remember just thinking like, girl, what the hell are you doing out here by yourself? And she's just out there trekking it out with her little dog with a missing ear. And I was like,
Mhm.
fuck. But yeah, I would probably say hand warmers, extra socks, long johns, and layer up. Good cargo pants, right? We didn't use
Yeah.
anything else other than like our tactical 511 cargo pants, like cargo style pants. I know you were going to bring coveralls. You wanted
Yeah,
to
I
bring,
wanted to, but like I had to limit my packing. Like, and that's the thing when you're packing for two different climates, it becomes difficult. Like I packed plenty of base layers. I had like waffle tops and stuff out there. Now the jacket that I wore there was a little heavier than what I would have liked, which is why when we stopped at that outdoor store, I picked up that lighter Patagonia jacket because I could put that on with the base layer and I was much more comfortable than the jacket.
Patagonia makes some top tier products. And this is why they're so expensive is because it works and they've
Yeah.
already thought about it. And they were like, you know what? I would love this if it was cool. And they're like, here, let's make it cool. And then they'll slap on a price that's like 3 times what you're going to pay anywhere else. And it pissed me off because I had just bought this thing for this is like a fucking shirt with a hood and it had little thumb holes on it. It was made out of like this waffle material. And I spent $200 on this fucking shirt. And then I get home and Kat's like, hey, I have one of those. I just bought one. And I was like, where'd you buy it? She's like, Ross. And I'm like, you spent $8 on it, didn't you? She's like, I spent 12. And I was like, I hate you.
But it's not
And
the Summit series.
that's not the Summit series. I know I gotta say that, man. That's fucking nice. So
Yeah,
I
that
will say
wasn't.
this. I will say this: if you spend the money on good gear, you will pack less because that one item will have like 3 purposes. So maybe that's something. Yeah, something to be
So
said about that.
packing for our next trip is going to be a little bit more interesting because I think we both agreed that we're going to start picking up some climbing gear.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I'm
Uh,
telling you, my Amazon cart is loaded right now.
oh man, I want to keep a Swiss seat inside the Jeep. I want to keep Swiss seats inside the Jeep. Maybe one for me and one for whoever,
Mm.
anybody I have to recover. I think that would be so dope.
And at least 150 feet of rope.
At least maybe two pieces of 150 feet of rope. And then, man, I imagine myself like this guy that's traversing through the desert or whatever, these canyon lands. And then all of a sudden I find a hiker that's down into like a gully somehow. And like, I'm like, oh crap, here, let me use my winch. And I'm going to winch him down there and be like, here, put yourself in the Swiss seat. And like, I'm going to winch you back up, you know? And like, I have this like this crazy idea that I'm going to be this recovery agent somehow, some way. And people are going to be like, thank God that you spent the money on this winch. And I'm gonna be like, it's a Warren winch and it's the Type S 10K.
We never had to
I'm
use
never
it, but
gonna
I'm
use it.
glad. I'm glad that we had it there just in case.
What's that?
I said we never had to use the winch while we were out there, but I'm glad we had it just in case.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I will say this. Winches that are capable of like being Bluetooth, it's a great idea. I will say this right now. A Bluetooth winch controller is awesome if it's charged. And if you need a winch in a moment and you are in like time is of the essence and you didn't charge it or it died or for whatever reason it's not connecting and you still don't have a manual box to let it in or activate it, you're going to be in some fucking hot water. So it's good to go analog sometimes. And I went analog with mine. I haven't been able to use it, but not to say that I'm never going to use it. But yeah, maybe one day we'll have our cliffhanger moment and we can actually recover somebody with it.
Yeah, I'm down. I did come back and I watched Cliffhanger, by the way.
I did too. So good. So good.
All
I
right, so
know.
we are a little over our hour and a half mark. Let's wrap this one up. Again, for all of the viewers out there, thank you for tuning in, but we encourage you, get out and take these trips. Sal, we didn't talk too much on it, but Sal does like to hang out with divorced guys just because they don't back out on them.
Divorce people are my friend.
But find you some dudes, get out there, go on these adventures. Ladies, you guys got to go on girls trips too. Those are equally as important. Go relax, have a good time. But these things are important for mental health. Just move your bodies, get out there and be physical, be intentional on what you're doing, and go see some stuff, man. There's some amazing sights to be seen. Don't just look at pictures on the internet. Go out there and experience them with someone.
Yeah. And it wasn't that expensive.
No.
It wasn't that expensive. Just
my shopping was the most expensive part of it.
You don't have to have a $100,000 Jeep to get out there. That was just bonus.
You could go out there and rent Jeeps. You could have rented a Nissan Rogue from Vegas, driven up there, rented a Jeep or one of the off-road vehicles that they have up there, and had a blast.
Exactly. I think, and maybe in the future that's what we're gonna do if it's spur of the moment and we don't want to drive 8, 9, 10 hours or whatever. Like we can fly right into, what was it, Colorado?
Yeah, I forgot the name of the city.
Yeah.
Wasn't Colorado Springs, it was something else.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so Colorado is probably the closest airport right there. There's a lot of opportunities to get out there. You don't need a Jeep, and it's relatively cheap, and it doesn't cost you anything to hike. Maybe $20 to get into the park and park your rental vehicle inside there. Gas is cheap, and good times are far and few in between, so make it happen. Don't plan on being around forever. Like, get out there right now.
Enjoy your friends while we're still on this side of the dirt.
Exactly. So as long as you can breathe, you can get out there. Pick a good friend. You know what? Just pick a spot on the map and say, I'm going to go there. And make it happen. You'll be surprised what comes from it. You know, perspective is everything. So sometimes you might be having a hard time at work. You might be having a hard time at home. Maybe you're a couple that has forgotten what it's like to be those teenagers that you guys knew each other as.
What to share space together.
Yeah. Maybe, it's something like this can rekindle and revitalize you, or even just spark an interest in physical fitness, getting out there and being like, fuck, this is hard. And saying, you know what, this is a turning point for me. I'm going to get better because I want to come back and do things like this. And I want to be in a better physical condition. And maybe that'll be the spark that lights the fire and keeps it burning longer,
All right. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Code 4 Podcast. We plan on having some additional guests in the future. Some of you guys have already lined up and we got you scheduled. So just tune in. We appreciate all your support and we love you, fam.
Love you guys. Be safe.